If it is, it'd be nice to do. If not, it's not a problem. So today is Saturday, May 30th, and we're in the middle of our COVID-19 version of a session. And it's been really quite rich and quite compelling, a lot more than I maybe would have suspected. And it's been wonderful to see everybody kind of coming and going and being a part of various aspects of the retreat. I wanted to take some time today during this retreat to address body practice in a particular kind of a way. Most people know of the existence of various kinds of body practices. Everybody knows that yoga is a thing, and I like to practice Aikido, and there's Tai Chi and all kinds of cool practices to do. I think what we don't generally have as well-rounded an appreciation as I wish we had was, in fact, that Zen Buddhism has a body practice that's associated directly with itself, with its founder, Bodhidharma. At least as the tradition is held through China, there is a whole series of body practices and body intelligences that are attributed directly to Bodhidharma's teaching. And we speculate that this is either a person who actually did this or this is a movement, but either way, it's kind of a fact. And so one of the things that I would like to use this time to talk a little bit about is the sort of the physicality of making a balance to Zazen. Okay, so this might as much be a time for a notebook as sweatpants for those who care to take notes, because I do want to have some introduction to the theory of what we're doing and why, rather than just yet another kind of interesting exercise routine or something. So the most important thing in Zazen is posture and structure. Okay, I think everybody, we kind of know that. When someone comes into the temple to seek beginning instruction, they receive very specific guidance about the posture and how they sit and the physicality of the practice. And one of the key essential ingredients there is that you concentrate your mind in the one point, and that as you inhale, all right, as you inhale, the hara expands, and that's the hara is this whole trunk area, and that as you inhale, it expands, and then as you exhale, it contracts and closes, right, naturally enough. We concentrate the mind in the one point, which is about 3 fingers below the one point. That's the center point where the mudra sits. Expanding, contracting, like that. Now, when we do a long day of Zazen, as we're doing now, it's important to understand that any one thing that we do too much of can lead to an imbalance of yin and yang. And so the healthy thing to do is the other side of it to kind of make it balanced. So if I'm always doing this, then healthfully you go like this and stretch the other way sometimes, okay? If I'm always closing, then practice opening to make a balance. And that this applies to breathing, okay? Now there's a different and entirely contrasting method of breathing that is critical to be used during a typical Qigong body practice session, and we typically will call this inverse breathing, or sometimes it's known as daoist breathing, but really it's just the opposite. So in this kind of breathing, and this is very specific, and a very specific help to balance all the belly breathing that we've been doing all day, okay? And that is this. When you breathe in this kind of breathing practice, which is, don't confuse it with Zazen. This isn't what you do in Zazen. This is what you do in your Qigong, let's say, Qigong practice. So what happens here is that the belly comes in on the inhale, the back comes in, the belly comes in, and in fact, the two sides come in, and very importantly, the pelvic floor comes up. So what happens is you've got a lift at the base, all sides are compressing in, okay? And then in Tibetan practice, we call that creating the vessel. There's different names for it, but basically it's almost like the upside down Vajra, okay? So you've got your jori here, this is the bell, and you've got the base, and then all the way around it comes in, and this top part is open. So when I breathe in this way, I'm going to be, and we'll do this in our standing postures, but the hara comes in. And when you do this, everything draws, and then that pulls the air in. And then on the exhale, you release. And the belly comes out a little bit. Inhaling, everything draws in. And exhaling, everything relaxes. And this is completely the opposite, obviously, of what we're doing in Zazen the whole time. And it's very important, especially if when you're sitting, you end up getting soreness, troubles with the back, different postural issues, all kinds of stuff like this. A little bit of practice of the inversion breathing in between periods of Zazen can be incredibly helpful in balancing. So let's just try that one. Let's go ahead and stand up comfortably. And all I'm going to want you to do to access this is to just take your hands and put them on your tummy, a little bit like this, okay? And you want to have your knees be slightly bent. So you're not standing all the way up with legs locked. The knees are slightly bent, okay? And then as you breathe in, tummy comes in, back comes in, the sides come in, pelvic floor comes up. And hold it for just a little bit of a second. And then when you exhale, let everything relax just like this. Very simple. And again, breathe in. And then relax. And what we're doing is working on the hara, this whole area. Again, breathe in. And we'll do one more this way. Good. Okay, watch me for a second. Here's some variations that I'm seeing. I'd like to bring your attention to. Watch my upper body. Okay, no. Don't make all this tense up here. Your shoulders stay down. Have your shoulder come around and down and let them just stay there as you breathe. You don't want this to be moving up at all. The shoulders stay rounded back and the elbows stay heavy, right? So this whole thing is just sitting here and this breathes by itself. So as I inhale, my shoulders don't go up or down at all right? Don't make tense in your shoulders. Yeah, just try a few more breaths at your own pace. Here we go, in. Do one more together. Good, okay. So that's the basics of the breathing technique. Now, to further this, what I'd like you to consider is that when you're doing this inverted breathing, okay, it creates a vacuum in the side and it draws the air in. And so I'd like you to think about your bones, okay? And this is, everybody's heard the famous teaching of Bodhidharma. You have my skin, you have my muscle, you have my marrow, all right? And deeper and deeper and deeper, right? What you want to do with this particular kind of breathing is to breathe through the bones. and this is a mental exercise. You lead your attention. In Zazen, you take your attention or your intent. We call it yi, Y-I. You put your yi or your intention in your one point and hold it there while you sit. But when you make this kind of breathing for Qigong, what you want to do is lead your intent through your body. And the way you can think about this, the way this has been transmitted into the West is a very watered down version of like do a general body scan kind of thing. And that's fine, but this is very specific though. You're going to take and concentrate on this point here, right? And on this point here on the hands, okay? And I want you to imagine that you're just bringing your attention right through the marrow of your bones, all the way up here and then down into that one point, right? And that's happening for both of these, see? And so that as I draw in, I'm now going to leave my hands just a little bit more free. So instead of this, I'm going to put my hands this way. And I'm going to draw in with the same breath. You know, pelvic floor is up, in, and then drawing in through this, through the arms. And you draw it all the way up into the hara. And then when you exhale, send it back out. Just for now, that's fine. The idea here is that you're going to use your mind to go through these channels and you're going to lead the ki that way. In fact, for starting, why don't you just make a lightly closed fist? Don't clench your white knuckle, just very light. You're going to draw in. You imagine like you're squeezing your fists, but don't really squeeze them. And then out. You can open a little bit. Now, if you imagine, I've got a visual aid for us. Okay, so now this is your cross section of your arm. Okay, so this is muscle and gushy stuff. Skin is up top, and then fascia, and then muscle, and then there's another layer of fascia, and then there's the bone. And the bone is not this solid thing; it's hollow, and that's where the marrow is. And so you imagine that that is what you're leading the chi through, up into this point, right? Now, when you draw it in, you bring the chi down to this point and hold it there for a minute. And you kind of imagine that it's kind of condensing. And then when you breathe out, you just send it right back out that same channel. So you're starting to go in and then out, in and then out, okay? Also, we can do the same thing with the legs. So you've got a point in the bottom of the foot. It's around the center of the bottom of the foot, right about here. Okay, and you can just draw in through the legs. And this is very powerful. You want to draw in through the bottom of the feet, draw it all the way up through the legs, up into the one point, at the same time that you're drawing in through the arms. And we can do this. Let's try this way. Take your hands and point them out. And they're like this, kind of like when Iron Man is flying around, like that, like this, okay? And so now what I'm going to do is bend the knees slightly, bend the elbows slightly. As I inhale, I'm imagining drawing in from the arms and both legs. Draw it into the center, hold it for a second. It's a little bit of a tightening, and then release. You very, very slightly open the joints, elongate, right? When you breathe in, everything's closing, elbows and knees. Hold it, and then release, expand. Now, I'm going to do this in a very exaggerated way. This is much more than you would actually do, but just watch for a second. So what if I make it exaggerated, I'm going to draw in and go like this, and then exhale, open. This is way too much. This isn't how much you actually do. But this is a motion that's like what's happening in very small components here. In fact, if you watch a real Qigong master, you can barely tell they're moving at all. But this pulse is happening through the body. All right, so drawing pelvic floor up, front, sides, and back in. Everything is strongly supported here. Creates a vacuum that draws in through both arms, through both legs to the 1 point. Hold it there for just a little bit. And then when you exhale, you expand and just send it right back out where it came from. All right, let's do 10 breaths this way together. So breathing in, holding, and release. Cycle the energy through the body. Breathing in, hold it, and release. I recommend you close your eyes and feel very deeply inside your body when you do this. Third breath in. Hold it. Release. Disperse. Fourth breath, drawing in. Holding. Release. As you do this, you want your breathing to be silent and non-aggressive. Breathing in the fifth breath. Cooling and silent is your breath. Holding. Cycling through the body and releasing. Breathing in is breath 6. Any tension in your face, relax. Holding, release. Seventh, in. Remember to keep your pelvic floor engaged. Holding, release. All of these breaths are through the nose. Inhaling, holding, release gently. Keep the tongue forward on the roof of the mouth, pulled up backwards towards the palate like you do in sitting. Breathing in 9. Hold and extend out. One more breath this way. In. Holding. And then release. Okay. Now that's 10 breaths. There's another component I'd like to introduce. You've got breathing in through the arms and through the legs to the vessel with the upheld pelvic floor, sides, back and front is on the inhale. And then on the exhale, when your belly goes out very gently, you want to let your back go out gently as well, so that the whole front and back is supported this way, okay? So breathing in is this way, everything comes in, and then out. You want to have the sense that your spine is moving back as your belly moves front. So the whole system is doing this in exactly the opposite fashion that it's doing when you're making your Zazen practice. This is a very important point, okay? And then additionally, you can breathe in through the top of the head, straight down through the spine into this point. And that adds what's called the 5th gate. The 2 arms and 2 hands, this is 4 gates. You add the top called the Ba Hui point. This is the 5th gate. And this is a little bit, you have to be a little bit more sensitive to relate to this, but I encourage you to try. And I want you to try to feel that you're drawing the chi from the heavens down through your spine. And it comes to the point just that in synchronicity with the other ones. So now 5 gates breathing, all right? Looks the same, but adding the spinal column from the top of the head. So we'll just do 3 breaths adding this, all right? So breathing 1. Holding, and then release. Now, when you release this, you want to have that energy come up through the spine and back out the top of the head, and it kind of massages the spine as you do. This is very helpful for me as a person who suffers with back issues. Very useful. Again. And then out. One more breath will make the 3rd of 3. Holding, and then out. Okay. So this is the first posture, and this is said to be what Bodhidharma said to do. Hands straight like this at your sides and do this breathing pattern with what's called 5 gates breathing. Spine, 2 arms, 2 legs. Everything comes to the center, hold it for a second, and then disperse it back out through the marrow of the bones, okay? This is often called bone breathing. That's another way to talk about it. Now, there's a second aspect to this, which is also very important for sitting, okay? And this is, you may have heard me talk about 6-direction expansion in Zazen, meaning when you sit, you don't want to be sitting there crumpled, you know, you want to have your root going down and your head going up, and you want to have your shoulders going out in these 2 directions, and your chest going front and your back going back. So we say 6-direction expansion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? This kind of expansion feeling in your Zazen. So this feeling is also something that we want to cultivate in the Qigong practice, okay? And the way that we accomplish this is you want to consider that you've got your bone, okay, all the bones. In addition to drawing chi through the bone into the center, there are also many, many millions of channels that go directly into the marrow of the bone from direct points all the way around. And this is true for every bone in the body, okay? So for this way, what you want to be doing, go like this with me. Just take your fist very lightly and go down this meridian and this meridian, okay? And don't bruise yourself or anything. You just make a little, it's called chi patting, okay? Pat, pat, make the chi, okay? And what you're doing, you could think about it like, if you were to actually hit hard enough to make a bruise, what happens is the blood comes to the surface, okay? I'm not advocating for that. That's not what we're doing. But lightly, that's kind of what we're doing. We're trying to get the chi to come up to the skin, okay? We say this is awakening the guardian chi. In fact, you can do it here, here. You can do it open palm. You can make a fist and very lightly. In fact, anywhere along the body. Crown of the head, be very careful, but you can make like this, soft, not hard. Go around here. Okay. And what we're doing here is very, in Chinese medicine, same thing all the way down this vessel, same thing the back. Again, I'm using this part of the fist to make, okay? Be careful around the kidneys, a little bit like this is good. Legs, okay? Same kind of thing, legs. Inside, front, sides, back, okay? And then you can also make feet, just the bottom. Okay, and then other foot. Okay, so why are we doing this, you know? It's, Roshi rang me out of my last Doksan. I didn't pass my koan. No, that's not what it is, okay? This is, what you're doing is you're stimulating the chi. When you do a little bone breathing, okay, it makes the chi inside start to circulate really deep inside. Now, what you also want to do is you want to get the chi to go from the bone out to the skin, and it comes out and makes what's called guardian chi, okay? And it helps your body have a stronger immune system, ward off difficulties, and make a stronger aura, a stronger protection around you. So the quick and dirty way is this kind of hitting, right? It brings the chi up and out, but also you can do this, and you should also do this by breathing such that you do the same posture, same look, okay? One gear is you're breathing in through the 5 gates to the hara, alchemically kind of working it and then dispersing it out. The second way is you breathe in directly through the bone, through the skin, directly to the bone. So it's as though when I inhale here, all the chi from the environment comes into the bones, okay? Comes in, comes in, comes in, and that comes in here, and it comes in from the back. It comes in all the way along. Now, if you've got a particular area of discomfort in your body, like I do, okay, I've got a very strong spot here on my spine that's always going to be an issue for me, okay? What you can do is you can breathe right through that and bring the chi to the bones that are there, and then bring it down into the center. And this is very helpful. So as I inhale with this method, same posture. This is Bodhidharma Waidan training, posture 1, okay? So I breathe in, and this time I'm visualizing all the air, the chi from around the environment coming directly in from all over the place, not just the 5 gates, but anywhere there's skin, it's drawing right into the bones. So breathing in, it's like you become a magnet, and all the chi around you comes right in, and you take it through into the marrow, and from the marrow it joins the 5 gates and comes to the 1 point. Hold it here and change it, purify it a little bit, hold it. And when you exhale, you want it to basically go to all the areas of the skin and make like a little shield all the way around you, okay? Comes again, breathing in. Hold it in your 1 point for just a little bit longer than you might otherwise, and then relax, and you flood your body with chi, and it goes out, out, out in all 6 directions and makes guardian ki. 1 more, breathes in. And out. 1 more comes in. And then out. Okay. So this is the first posture of 12, but the most important thing is what you're doing, the technology of the breathing. Always pelvic floor is up, hara back and sides, front, back, and sides all come in on the inhale and relax on the exhale. First point. When it comes in, it draws the chi in. It draws in through the arms and the spine to the 1 point. Additionally, all the chi from all the way around your environment gets drawn in directly to the bone and joins the marrow and comes in. Hold it, and then when you go out, it goes out through the marrow and then goes boom, 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 everywhere along and expands. This makes guardian chi. Okay. Now, does anybody have any questions about this or anything that is unclear in what I've said? I'd like to try to help make sure you understand this. So Yoshiki, I think I see a hand up. I don't know how to moderate this.
Hi, you started talking about breathing in through your painful part, but I didn't catch the end of that. Is that a different thing? Like I have a place too in my back. So
oh, if you have a
can you
painful,
address that a little further?
you mean if
Well,
you
I have a little scoliosis part.
so you mean if
You
you've got,
mentioned that you drew it. Go ahead.
I'm trying to clarify, you're saying breathing in through a place of discomfort in the body? Is that what you're asking? Yeah.
Yes.
So part of what happens there is the discomfort in the sitting happens because the chi is no longer circulating, okay? And so what we want to do when we're doing a body practice, particularly in contrast to a day of sitting, you want to make sure that the body practice is helping the chi to circulate through the structure again, okay? So when we sit in lotus, we're purposefully shutting off the circulation of chi in the legs. Obviously, that's what that does, okay? So when we, when we can unfold the legs, they're going to be tight, right? Or they're going to have no circulation. So you want to breathe through and make sure the circulation is good. This is also true. You have a shoulder injury or difficulty in the spine or whatever, okay? Just being alive for a certain number of years gives you these joyful reminders of the wisdom of your experience, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just breathe right through those places in addition to everywhere else, okay? Brings here. And when I expand on the exhale, I'm going to make sure that some chi goes to those areas and expands right through it. And what this does, it's like an internal energy massage, basically. So I have this point in my spine where it's a little funny, and I'm always breathing through there, getting circulation. I'm breathing the air in from the back side to come into it. The chi comes in, comes down, purified in the hara, and then it comes up and it expands out through. So it would be like going into this and like kind of opening up everywhere it goes and expanding out. This provides a great deal of relief, actually. It requires, however, that you can have strong enough jiriki to actually stay with it and concentrate very specifically along these lines, okay? If your jiriki is weak, if anybody's jiriki is weak, you just can't do this. You're sitting there going like, what's happening here? And you just can't feel anything because you won't feel anything until you use your mind first. First, you have to concentrate your mind strong enough and you've got to lead it through the channel. And then the key will start following your mind, okay? If you wait, wiggle your arm around and try to listen to feel something, you'll never feel anything because you're not doing it, okay? You have to lead the mind and then the key follows where you've concentrated. And if you approach this with the same subtlety and intensity that you practice Zazen, like when you're really sitting strong and you really just settle in there and you just really start to feel your breathing and you're really connected, you know what I'm saying? It's exactly that same headspace. It's that same concentration space. However, I'm leading it through these channels very carefully and very meticulously. And if I've got a trouble spot in my body, I want to lead chi right through there and circulate it. Okay. Any other questions on this?
Roshi, we're at time, but there was one question about where we could find further information, text or videos on the subject that you recommend.
It's a difficult thing to find credible instruction on because most of what you'll see is things that teach you the external forms. So like you'll find a Tai Chi video on YouTube or something and it'll show you to put your hands this way and then put your hands that way. And it's all telling about what you do with your body, but there's very little competent guidance on what's actually happening internally. unfortunately, this is my experience. I mean, a lot of what I've learned is from my direct Aikido teacher. I'll look and see if I can find something I can recommend to a general audience. But for right now, I would encourage you to just take this practice and really kind of dig in there with it. Okay. There is a guy named Dr. Yang who I'm very I hold his work in high regard. He can be very difficult to work through though, kind of like Dogen a little bit, but so maybe not so helpful. I mean, the thing that I would like you to come away from this session with is one very specific usable body practice. Now, if we take that, I want to take just a minute and apply it. I hope everybody's aware of Dr. Lu's 10 energy movements. These are basically another version of the 8-piece brocade Qigong series, which you can find on YouTube all over the place. Search for Qigong, you'll see a bunch of stuff. But what I'd like you to do is think about this internal process with that movement, okay? And you can apply it to all of the movements. But the movement looks like this, okay? I hope everybody's seen this, but I'll just show it. And breathe in. Well, here's what you see in Dr. Lu's video. Okay. And what this looks like to most Westerners and to most people who've encountered yoga from a Western teacher is it looks like a stretch. Like, you know, before soccer practice, you kind of like stretch, you know. It's not a stretch just like that. What you want to be doing, same kind of breathing we've been talking about, okay? As I breathe in, I want to specifically take the chi from the earth and draw it up the legs, bring it up to the hara, bring it up through the spine, comes out the crown chakra and comes around, and you disperse it around you. And you imagine kind of like a sphere all the way around you, like you're inside a crystal ball or something like that, one of those shaker balls with the snow. And then again, you breathe in. Again, all the vessel breathing I talked about is in place. And then expand, when you exhale, take it down. Now, if you breathe through your bones with the legs, the arms, and the spine, and you breathe through the skin to your bones as you do this, specifically here, drawing up from the earth, just like the hands are showing you, bringing it up through and returning it to the heavens, you'll have a very, very different experience than if you just sit here and go like this with just your body, okay? So to close this bodywork session, let's do maybe 10 repetitions of the first movement of Dr. Lu's 10 energy movements. That is a link that can be put here for your reference if anybody's not familiar with it. That's an easy go-to place to start. I recommend for everybody. But let's try this together. 1, remember, bring up the pelvic floor. And right about here, exhaling. 1. Close your eyes and really feel. Knees open, drawing in. Lead the key with your mind. Exhaling out, out, out. Keep 6 direction expansion in place at all times. Inhaling 4. Go slow, it's not a race, there's no rush. Inhaling 5. Really feel it come up through the legs, through the spine, up out the arms and the hands, returning to the heavens. It's the sixth repetition. Seventh. Eighth. Nine. And 10. Just as an example, to finish off, the last finishing off here, do the inversion, breathe in this way, gather chi from the heavens, palms together and run it right down through the spine, through the legs, and return it to the earth. Inhaling, exhale. Hopefully you begin to see that what all of this Qigong study is about cycling Qi through the body, cycling the energies to eliminate stagnation. Okay. And again, to close, if you don't bring the mind of Zazen, meaning if you don't bring that specific mental concentration, really tune into your body very intensely, this is almost useless, very little benefit, okay? But if you can keep custody of your mind and really visualize internally, what you want to be able to do is feel very, very deeply into your body. I'll make a truth claim, which may sound implausible to you, but I will assert from my experience that it is quite possible to feel your skin. It's possible to feel between your skin and your muscle. It's possible to feel inside your muscle. It's possible to feel the fascia between your bone and your muscle. It's possible to have some sense of the marrow inside the bones. And if you can learn to really feel deeply, deeply, deeply inside your own structure, you will encourage the qi to circulate there. And in Chinese medical view, the marrow is the source of health and longevity, okay? Your blood cells are generated there. When the marrow of the bones is fresh and clean and washed and cycled through in the manner that we've been doing, it increases the vitality of the qi in the blood. And the blood then takes that qi and circulates it through the body and gives you vigor and energy, okay? This is not, go run around the block real fast and do a bunch of jumping jacks real quick. At a certain time in life, that's actually far more damaging than useful, okay? But qi circulation always is good. And if you need to make any kind of accommodation, if you have a shoulder injury and you can't move your arm all the way, you just make the accommodation, not a problem. You can do all of this in a chair if you need to. Even from a hospital bed, if at some point we're there, you can practice Qigong in the bed. Okay. All right, so I'm aware I went a little over, and I'd like to bring this body practice session to a close, and I'd encourage you all to take this as a point of beginning and research, and let it make your sitting be stronger. May it be so.